Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa McAllister, and you're listening to the Melissa M.A.D.E Show. Now, for decades, I've dedicated myself to helping women break the cycle of dieting, navigate through all the fads, and change their lives through my nutrition coaching. Now, each week, I'm going to talk about everything from deep nutrition, mindset, self-care, the ideal workout routine, tips on how and why to implement intermittent fasting in your life, my favorite recipes that are not only crowd pleasers, but they're actually healthy for you, and so much more. Now, with small and consistent changes, you can defy aging while living a happier, healthier, and more heart-filled life. I'm so excited to show you it's possible with the right strategies that are so simple to adopt. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Melissa M.A.D.E Show. Now, I have a very special guest today. And if you remember a while back, I actually did an Instagram poll and asked if I should have her on my podcast. And it was a resounding yes. And so I'm very excited to have Dr. I already forgot it. I'm going to have her say her last name again. She told me not to worry about it, but we're going to call her Dr. Victoria because it's a very exotic, beautiful last name that I would mutilate. But she is fascinating. And I think she's going to bring so much value to my followers. But I would love to give her a great introduction first. And the first thing that I would love to say about her, which I find fascinating, is that she's the youngest graduate of NYU Dental. That's in and of itself a huge feat. My daughter graduated high school a year early, and I think that's so cool. So anybody who's very young and reaches high levels of education early on, I think is fantastic. She's a celebrity cosmetic dentist with a passion for all things health, beauty, wellness, and building confidence, which is something we're going to talk about today. She has two practices in both New York and Beverly Hills. So we just decided that she's flying over top of me constantly as she goes from one practice to the other. And she is known for changing the lives of patients with beautiful transformations and healthy smiles. So she's been featured in many large publications, including New York Times, WebMD, Allure, Men's Health, and a bunch more. And it's just a pleasure to have her on today. So I'm going to go ahead and first have you do your last name justice for me, Dr. V, and tell me how to pronounce that again.
My last name is Veytsman, but like I said, feel free to call me Dr. Victoria for that very reason. And thank you so much for that beautiful, warm introduction. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for voting to have me on. I appreciate that too.
Yeah, it's so exciting now. So we were just talking to, I have to share the story now, is I was telling her, we were showing a little bit of internet, bad connectivity, and we're trying to figure out which side it is.
Like,
and
what's going on, right?
Yeah, whose fault is it? And you guys know it's usually my fault. So, but I was telling her that I'm in, knocking on wood, I'm in the man cave. I hope that we have good reception. She goes, "Oh, that's funny." She says, because, and this is something you should know about her, so that you understand where she's coming from today. She's got two practices, and like she said, I think you said 99% of your patients are women. And it's women founded, and your practice and your internet code, like mine is called the Man Cave, yours is called the Babe Cave.
Yes. Yes, we call it our Babe Cave. We're female founded and run. All of our employees by chance are just women. 99% of our patients are women. So when they come here you're in the Man Cave, we call this the Babe Cave. So
love it.
Maybe that's why we were saying, maybe that's why we're having some internet connectivity issues. I don't know. We'll get that straightened out. We'll talk it through.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because, I don't know if that's anything you say publicly, but for me, just to look at my friends and saying, yeah, today I've got to go to the Babe Cave instead of saying the dentist, I think is so much more cool.
I haven't said that, but I love that idea of reframing my mindset. Say on a Monday morning when I'm like, I'm going into the Babe Cave today. I actually love that. I'm going to start using that next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dr. V, talk to me just, real quick, what got you into this line of work? Why did you choose? Because I know you've, I don't want to say branched out, but you've obviously found, starting off with teeth and reached out more to just helping women with confidence and, and beautifying that smile and obviously anti-aging and all that. But how did this whole thing start?
So I have always wanted to be in the medical fields. I've always wanted to be in a helping profession. So as a kid, I always wanted to be a doctor. I also went to art school growing up because, at 5'9", I'm no ballerina. And while my mom tried to send me to art to ballet class and all that, that just never worked out for me, given my stature and all that. So, I went to art school, and that happened to be something I was really good at. And I found my creativity at a young age. So cosmetic dentistry is like a perfect combination of the two. It's the science, it's the caring profession, it's the healthcare field, but it also, especially cosmetic dentistry, has such a huge creative, artistic component. It's like being a plastic surgeon for the teeth, right? So we see that immediate result. I work with my hands. We do a full process of smile design. So it's a very visual, artistic process to me. Now, as far as confidence, I started doing cosmetic dentistry a couple years after I finished dental school, so it wasn't immediate. What I started to notice, the more and more patients that came in, initially it was just, well, we're going to fix their smile, right? This is what we're going to do. We're going to hopefully make them feel a little better about themselves. But really, the primary thing we're doing here is working on their teeth. What I noticed after many years of doing this and working with many, many, many different people is that when people come in for this type of work, there's usually a very huge emotional and mental component to this. So while they may be coming in for a smile makeover, they want to look better, they're really looking to feel more confident. And what I notice is a lot of times after these smile makeovers, usually I like to say transformations start within, but this is the type of transformation that starts on the outside and works its way in. And a lot of times, starting with a smile, that's the starting point for kind of elevating every part of your life. So what I find, you might find the same thing too, Melissa, because you deal with this all the time as well, is once someone starts to make one change, one positive change, it sort of trickles into every part of their life. So, now they've done a smile makeover, now they've worked with you on nutrition and health. Now they're looking at other parts of their life and what can I improve here or there? Every part of our life is connected. So, I say we do cosmetic dentistry, but we're really in a business of building confidence because it just goes hand in hand so much. I see it all the time where we've completed a smile makeover and, now people are confident to date again. They're confident to apply for jobs. So it really, especially for women in the aging process too, at every phase of their life, just improving confidence is so helpful.
Yeah, for sure. And I told you I was going to share a story, which, because as soon as I turned on my camera today, I smiled real big and I'm like, oh, she's going to like my teeth.
I love your, I think you have a gorgeous smile. I think you've got a gorgeous smile.
Well, thank you. I wore braces for 3 years from grade 9 through grade 12. My senior photos, I have braces on, which I hated, but it was quite the process. I mean, my teeth were already straight, and I guess I had a famous orthodontist working on me. And I don't know how much, on the orthodontic side of it, but my orthodontist was Dr. Damon. And then I find out many years later, he's the one who created the Damon brackets, which have obviously set him for life because they did really well. But he was my orthodontist for the.
Oh, that's pretty impressive. You had a superstar. That's amazing.
I did.
Now you got a superstar smile. No, your smile was beautiful.
So I do try to take very good care of my teeth. And one of the things I wanted to ask you was, how does dental health, affect your overall health? Like what is there a correlation and how important is it to take care of those teeth?
Yes. So dental health. So I like to say the mouth is the gateway to the body. Everything is connected. A lot of times when people look at medical subspecialties, dentistry is sort of put off to the side as this like lone ranger of the medical field, totally unrelated and disconnected from the rest of the body. When in fact, initial signs of things like inflammation show up first in the mouth. Any hormonal changes, any inflammation, we're able to pinpoint that immediately in the mouth, sometimes before it's picked up anywhere else, because the mouth is sort of, a portal where we could see what's going on internally.
Yeah.
Bacteria from the mouth too can travel to other places. And women, especially that are susceptible to, autoimmune diseases, need to take especially good care of their mouth, because inflammation in the mouth could lead to inflammation in other places, which is a trigger for autoimmune diseases. And women are more prone to things like autoimmune diseases, so the connection to overall well-being is something that's definitely overlooked and definitely there. Everything is a system. And also, when it comes to oral health and oral beauty too, there's a component of it that's related to overall facial beauty that people don't really kind of connect either. A lot of times people, I'm assuming your audience is female, mostly female. Yeah. So is mine. My patient demographic is mostly female. So a lot of times we'll have patients come in and say, I'm going to go get a facelift. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. Not realizing that you don't have to rush and do those super big procedures. Just taking care of your smile, working on that first could minimize anything you might need to do for overall kind of facial aesthetics later. And also there's a huge anti-aging component to taking care of your smile, because one of the first places that aging shows up is your mouth, the wear, the chipping, the staining. So it's really one of the first places that signs show up.
Yeah. I love that you say this, because I just got back from Italy. I was in Italy last week, and I ate all the pasta, all the desserts. It was incredible. I had a lot of Aperol Spritz, and
good for you.
I really enjoyed it. And when I came home, the one thing I noticed was my gums were inflamed. And it's honestly the first time that and it could be age, it could be what I ate, it could be how much I ate. I don't know the cause of it. But it's funny you say that, because I told my husband, I said, and he's such a jerk too, because I said, my gums feel inflamed. He goes, I was going to tell you your breath smells different. And I'm like,
oh my Lord.
Thanks. Why didn't you
that's
say something?
But Melissa, that's a perfect example of how the mouth is a sign. It shows the first signs of anything going on in your body, whether it be inflammation, stress too, because stress can cause inflammation that shows up in your mouth, but any sort of bacterial or hormonal imbalance, we should pay attention to things that we see in our mouth, because these are signs, because you can't open up your body and see what's going inside most of the time. You hope, right? But the mouth is such an easy way to get a good glimpse of what's happening internally.
Yeah. Now, so I read, I've read studies, journals, for 20 years. And so I can't cite this. And it's been so long since I read this, it may not even be 100% accurate. And I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I've always found it fascinating. I remember reading somewhere that the plaque that you build on your teeth is very similar, if not the same thing, as the plaque that you can build in your arteries. And there was, some sort of correlation about keeping your teeth clean, because that plaque that you build there, could end up somewhere else.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Well, plaque is, mineral deposits, mineral calcium deposits, as is the plaque in your arteries. So yes, that makes perfect sense. Also, the bacteria that's in your mouth can travel. So especially if someone has had joint issues, joint surgery, heart issues, valve replacements, that bacteria can travel to those vulnerable areas. Bacteria will always travel and attack the most vulnerable areas in your body. So yeah, I can't stress enough how important it is to kind of remember that the mouth is a part of a whole system, and they're so interconnected. So, taking care of your mouth is key to overall health. Like even, there was a whole oil pulling trend. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
Yes, there are not a lot of scientific studies about it, but the whole premise of that is to, help pull out some of the bacteria from your mouth. So anecdotally, patients that have done that just reported feeling overall healthier. And mind you, there are no a lot of scientific studies backing this, but just anecdotal evidence from the practice, patients reporting things, just keeping your mouth fresher, healthier, kind of helps with just overall the way you feel overall.
Mhm.
and fresher breath, which of course socially is like key, right? You can't walk around with
100%.
yeah.
You can love that person to death, but you don't want to be near them if they got bad breath.
Exactly, exactly. And there are a lot of ways, to keep your mouth, healthy. Obviously, you go in for your regular checkups, cleanings, at home care. I find that I'm sure you say the same thing. Consistency is key. Like what you do every day matters more than what you do once a year, right?
Sure, sure. And
So
I saw it was probably 2 days ago, an Instagram post of I think it's a personal trainer. He
yeah,
might have some nutritional background. I'm not real sure,
yeah.
but he was talking about what a fallacy mouthwash is. And that was the first time that I ever saw anybody say, stop using mouthwash
Oh, interesting.
because it's killing all the bacteria in your mouth. And there is healthy bacteria in your mouth, just like there's so,
Yeah,
and he's not a dentist.
yeah.
So I would love your opinion on that.
Yeah, I can see where he might be coming from with that train of thought. I still think that ADA products that are ADA approved and tested products like mouthwash that have proven clinically to, prevent gingivitis and cavities are definitely effective, and I do recommend them. However, I'll say there is some truth to what we call the oral microbiome. You know how we have a microbiome on our skin, in our stomach, internally. There's what we call an oral microbiome. There are a set of healthy bacteria that live in our mouth and a set of unhealthy bacteria that live in our mouth, right? The unhealthy ones tend to be under the gums, what we call anaerobic. What I like, and I've discovered recently, is, an oral probiotic. It's like a chew. It's a tablet and it's an oral probiotic. I'm such a fan of probiotics for overall health. I don't know if you are too, but they have one specifically for your mouth. So let's say you do use the mouthwash, and let's say it does get rid of some of that good bacteria, which it may. There are things you can do to replenish it, and there are things you can eat to replenish it too. Yogurts, obviously, anything that's good for your overall system will be good for your mouth too. Because it's one, the digestive system is connected to your mouth. So anything that's good for your digestive tract is good for your mouth.
That's so fascinating because and that's the power of social media, which can be wonderful and can also be misleading.
Yeah.
I read that and I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. But listening to you, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I feel like, there's so much stuff on social media now. You will hear, if you're going to hear A, you're going to hear B. If you're going to hear B, you're going to hear C. And sometimes it's really hard to know like what to listen to.
Absolutely.
Like I find too, like I follow a lot of like these health accounts, and there's so many differing opinions. Like the other day, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this with your background. Someone, and I forget who it was, said that vegetables are not good for you. Okay, because that they have these to protect themselves, they develop these like toxins that want to, quote, like destroy you or destroy whoever's trying to eat them. So I'm like, what, all this time cardiologists and people have been saying like, vegetables are great, eat your spinach. Now there's this whole controversy with like kale and other vegetables that might not be good for you. And I'm like, what is all this confusing info? Have you heard what I'm talking about?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They're mostly talking about lectins and anti-nutrients, and, plants do have a protective system,
Yeah.
and they have these anti-nutrients and the lectins in them to protect them before they are ripe. And one of the problems that us man have done is we pick things before they're ripe. And so the anti-nutrients and the lectins are still really high. And we actually, my husband and I own a property and they have a farmer's market on there. And so he gets fresh produce, and he says, you would be appalled to see what they do. They'll take all of these, like just say watermelon, these underripe watermelon, throw them in the back of a truck and drive them 2,000 miles. And then they actually gas the back of the truck to ripen or to turn the watermelon green really quickly, which isn't a natural process. So, those lectins and those anti-nutrients don't, diminish because the plant is like, okay, now I'm ready for you to eat my seed, to have the fruit or the vegetable off of me to help me replant somewhere else. And so that's the biggest problem. But just to simplify that, we need the phytonutrients, the antioxidants, the vitamins, the minerals, the fiber in fruits and vegetables. And anybody that spends more time telling you that you should not eat certain vegetables instead of Cheetos and
That's what I was thinking.
so we don't need to go there. Please don't tell people to not eat certain vegetables or certain fruits. What they need to do is to not eat certain ultra processed foods.
Yeah, that's so interesting. See, that I didn't know. I've heard about lectins and all that, but I'm curious, what are anti-nutrients? Are they something that deplete your body of nutrients?
Well, they keep your body from absorbing. So even if there's good, vitamins and minerals inside that vegetable, or you're eating it with something else, they kind of block the absorption of it.
Interesting. So it's all about picking something when it's too ripe.
Yeah, truly trying to make
not ripe, not ripe yet. I mean, not ripe yet. Not ready to.
Yeah. It's the conventional, fruits and vegetables that you get in big grocery stores versus, a farmer's market, or if you can make a relationship with a local farmer. And that's why most nutritionists and dietitians will tell you to eat fruits and vegetables that are in season. Because when they're in season, they're bountiful. They can wait until because they're going to sell, and they're not grown in a greenhouse and then, picked way too early so that they can ship them. Try to buy locally and buy fruits and vegetables that are in season.
Got it. So you're saying continue to eat vegetables.
Yes, please.
I mean, I saw that, and this is a pretty big person, like with a lot of clout on social media. And I was just like, I really got to look into, I got to ask somebody about this, because you're right. People are more apt to eat Cheetos or go totally keto and eat a lot of different fats that might not necessarily be healthy and forget the spinach, it might kill you, so thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome. That was a great question. So I want to, being 48 years old, well, bless you. You as well. Kind of stunning. I am curious, what you say about, what happens to our teeth, or anything that we can do, because you do help with anti-aging when it comes to cosmetic dentistry and all that. Help a sister out and tell her what she can do to keep her teeth healthy as we age, and even services that you offer that help protect the teeth into my 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100s. Hallelujah.
100. Yes, exactly. Well, first of all, your smile is gorgeous and beautiful and bright and everything, but yeah, I mean, anti-aging dentistry is a big component of the umbrella of cosmetic dentistry. So just to explain a little bit about the aging process of the face in general that kind of correlates to the teeth. Mm-hmm. I like to think of the teeth as sort of the scaffolding for the face. They sort of keep this lower third of the face in the position it's supposed to be in. As we age, we not only lose, collagen and all that, we tend to lose vertical dimension in the teeth. They get a little shorter through grinding and wear and natural processes, but also we lose horizontal dimension. The teeth tend to narrow in. You excluded, your teeth look great, but tend to narrow in as we get older and shorten. So what does that do to this lower part of the face? It shortens it and it narrows it. And that, when you look at an aging face, is one of the signs of aging. That's why I like to say that the teeth being the scaffolding for the lower third of your face, where the first signs of aging happen, if you take care of that and prevent that, you now are talking about anti-aging, not just of the smile, but of the entire face, right? Which means you can be a lot more conservative as you get older with the procedures you may or may not want to do. So taking care of your teeth, restoring or preserving whatever is there, allows you to do procedures in the future, if you choose to, that are far more conservative. And the teeth are probably the first thing you should look at before you decide to do any of the other stuff, because if you rehabilitate your teeth, if they're worn, you may not need to do the other things. So the signs that we typically see are teeth that get shorter over time, because with natural wear, all the processes that, our mouth, I would say, is probably one of the most used parts of our body. I mean, we're eating, we're talking, like you can't go a day without using your teeth or your mouth, right? So one of the most used part of the body is also an environment that can be a little harsh. It's dark, it's moist, things can happen. right? So as we get older, like I said, you may see a little wear, you may see chipping, staining, um, fractures, things like that. What can we do as we get older? One, like I said, obviously, don't bypass those dental checkups, cleanings, and seeing your dentist at least twice a year. A lot of times, being a cosmetic dentist, people come to me because they want to look better, right? But I always say health is like really the foundation of all beauty. You too, right? Like
Yes.
you can't have a beautiful mouth without having a healthy mouth. And I think we mentioned this before we started this call. Um, just the byproduct of trying to take care of your mouth, just the byproduct of having a healthy mouth will essentially be a beautiful mouth, right? So beauty, a lot of times, and I know we talked about this before, beauty most times is the byproduct of just being healthy. So there, of course, there are things you could do specifically to do a smile makeover, and we can talk about that. But I really believe that the foundation of all beauty is health. Right. So as we get older, obviously you do the checkups, you do the cleanings, you take care of your mouth at home. So you find the right sonic toothbrush, you brush your teeth, you do use the mouthwash. You can integrate an oral probiotic. You scrape your tongue because that's where most of the bacteria lives, and that's what causes bad breath. Now, beyond that point, beyond just caring, the general care of your mouth, oral hygiene, if you start to notice things like staining, we can do a whitening. That's probably the simplest thing that we can do. It's an hour in-office procedure. If you grind your teeth, it's important to wear a night guard, right? So that way to protect the teeth, but also a lot of times people don't know that Botox in your masseter can help with grinding, because a lot of times, especially I found through COVID and all the stress that happened with COVID, everyone was grinding their teeth, and I was seeing patients with a lot more fractures. So Botox in these masseters, not for aesthetic reasons, can really calm those muscles down the way that night guards can't. So night guards are important, but consider Botox in the masseters if that's an issue. That'll be really a preventative thing you can do, because grinding, I feel, is one of the biggest culprits and issues that people have, that excessive unnatural pressure on their teeth. Now, let's say, you're at the point where your teeth have already worn down, the teeth have chipped and they're stained. We do smile makeovers all the time. We do full mouth reconstructions a lot of the time too. So we do things like porcelain veneers, bridge work. These are all things that can really change your smile. I don't want to say in a dramatic way, but in a way more so than whitening. And, it's not that we're looking for perfection, because that doesn't exist, but we're really looking to get patients to be the best version of themselves. It's not necessarily that, quote, I hate the word perfect, but the perfect Hollywood smile. It's not always about that. A lot of times it's about restoring you to what you used to be when you were in your 20s, or the best natural version of yourself. And sometimes, people require a little bit more than the daily care and then, the whitening. And at that point, we explore other options. We do full smile designs. We can, remember I mentioned that sometimes you lose dimension in your mouth. We can rebuild all of that with porcelain. And when you do that, you give more support to the cheeks. So now maybe you need less, collagen injections, right? Well, you look great, but generally speaking, yeah, but generally speaking, restoring your teeth provides more support for the face, and you can be more conservative with other options. Yes. Yeah, speaking of collagen, I'm sure what are your thoughts on collagen supplements?
So long story short, proteins get broken down into peptides, collagen peptides, which get broken down into amino acids. And so, I've read research that says that, when you break down protein into amino acids, wherever it's coming from, a steak, collagen, plant-based, whatever it is, it gets broken down to its little tiniest, simplest form. And then your body puts those pieces back together and puts it where it needs to go to do all sorts of things, because protein is obviously very important. So collagen is just another great way to get protein. I personally, have not done enough research to solidify this assumption, but I assume that it's really not so amazing for just certain parts of the body, like, which gives it that tagline, it's great for the hair, skin, and nails, or even the joints in higher doses. I just think it's the fact that you're getting these certain amino acids, which are good for those, but it's not necessarily because it's this miracle, peptide. So I think it's great to take, very important to take, but whether or not it is, if you just get your overall good quality protein coming, that you necessarily need to supplement with collagen. If it's a pain in the butt, if it's really easy for you to put in your coffee or to put in your shake, great. That's another great way to get protein, but not to stress about the fact that you have to have collagen peptides in order to have healthy skin, hair, and nails. So,
well, the reason I ask about that is because I always wonder, like, what are the best supplements to take for your oral health, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So, because, the hair, skin, nails, and teeth, actually, people don't know, come from the same, what we call the ectoderm developmentally. So they all come from the same place. So I always thought that collagen, vitamin C, things like that are good for those things would be good for your teeth and gums too.
Absolutely. All the above, it's we just going back to the eat a variety of whole foods and you're covered.
Simple, done.
Yeah, you will cover all that. So it's funny you say this. I'm going to get real vulnerable here. So my daughter, beautiful daughter, she had rhinoplasty. She had a nose job at the age of 25. She was born with her dad's nose, and he's a German man. So she had a German man's nose, and she was beautiful, and she was okay with it. But at the age of 25, when she became an adult and was, making, her own money, on her own accord, decided to have her nose shaved down just a little bit. It wasn't a big deal.
But I love that. I love someone taking their life into their hands and making that decision, saying, you know what, it's fine, but I'm more comfortable. Like I have patients that come in that age and younger, not knowing what to do. And I always say, what will the rest of your life look like if you were more confident, right? Or do you wait another 15 years being uncomfortable? So I love that, by the way. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I did. You took the words right out of my mouth. And so since then she has, she's gotten into modeling and has just gotten her first offer with a company to, I forget, I don't even know the model terms, but she's been signed with an agency in, I think, Colorado. I could be wrong, but how exciting is that? And that's she's beautiful before the rhinoplasty and beautiful after. That confidence shot up, and you could she eluded so much more beauty because she was confident in herself. But what I wanted to say, which goes back to you talking about the face, is, older, he did such a good job that I was getting my Botox from the nurse at the same facility. And I said, does he just do like random, here I am standing in front of you naked. Is there anything you can do for me? And she goes, oh, all the time. I mean, I do live in Dallas. So I made an appointment and I told him, I said, I'm fine with my face.
Yeah.
I'm fine with my face. And I was really talking skin wise, because I tanning beds, lived in Hawaii. I've really done a number on my skin. So, but I was hoping maybe he had a laser or something, but here I am standing naked in front of him. And I'm like, is there anything that you would do, that you could do to help me, age gracefully? Mm-hmm. And first off, my daughter said it was a flex, because he looked at my physique, my body, and he says, there isn't a thing I would change. And I was like, oh, cosmetic surgeon just said there's nothing that he would.
Got the stamp of approval.
Yes, that was nice to hear. But then Dr. V, he went to my face. And I was like, and he goes, what I would love to do is to shorten the distance between your upper lip and your nose. And he says, because a surefire sign of aging is not being able to see your teeth. And and I'm looking at you, and it's funny too, because when I look, you guys, you have to watch this YouTube. She's gorgeous. You have to watch this YouTube. You'll see my clips on social media, but she's just gorgeous. I go from looking at your beautiful eyes to your beautiful mouth. And as you talk, I constantly do the up and down, because it is so aesthetically pleasing to see your beautiful eyes. And also
Thank
a
you.
beautiful mouth. And I, I'm not going in and getting the distance between my nose and my lips shortened whatsoever. But I found that so interesting that when he looked at my face and my aging face, that was the one thing that he said was, would make a huge difference, was to, to shorten that so you could see my top teeth a little more. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna sit on that. Thank you. And I'm gonna go home and be happy about my body, but not about my face.
Well, first of all, you have got a stunning face. You have got a stunning face.
Thank you.
I don't think you need that procedure. So look, obviously there's something called the golden proportion of the face. Obviously there's some proportion of what perfection is. The truth is that that's not reality. Perfection, if you look at the most beautiful stars, if you look at some of the iconic models, they're certainly not perfect, right? So while there is that golden proportion, that golden ratio that he was talking about, that is a guideline for beauty. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect for someone to be beautiful. So what he was referring to is what we call a lip lift, lifting the lip. Because as we age, you're right, the distance between the area above the lip to under the nose lengthens because we lose collagen, right? I don't see that in your case though. And what that results in, you're actually showing a lot of teeth as you're smiling. So that was inaccurate information. But what happens though with the aging face, right? You see, so we do what we call dentofacial aesthetics. It's not just about the teeth, it's dental facial aesthetics because it's all connected. So as the lip falls a little bit, it does cover up some of the tooth structure when you smile. And that is one of the signs of aging. And when you look at a face, you may not consciously know that, but subconsciously, it's something that sort of registers, so there are procedures called lip lifts. And we do that sometimes with a plastic surgeon in conjunction with, to sort of work on that lower third of the face. I mean, I don't think you need that. And I was just having a conversation with someone earlier about this. There's this whole idea of chasing perfection, right? Making sure everything is perfect and things we see on Instagram. There was this whole thing we did a quote on called Instagram face, right? Everyone wants to, I've had patients bring in pictures of filtered faces wanting to look like that. So it's not necessarily reality. It's more about, it's not so much about facial perfection. It's about facial flow. Does everything flow? Is it uniquely you? And when I look at you, everything just flows beautifully. I'm not looking at the exact measurement. And you can't really do that in real life. Sure, theoretically, but in real life, it's all about facial flow. Is it unique to you? Beauty isn't perfection at all. Yeah.
And, the doctor said something that I really appreciated that stuck with my daughter. He didn't tell her she had a big nose. He didn't tell her it was ugly, or he just looked at her and he says, that nose doesn't fit your face.
Exactly.
And that's, and it clicked for her because she's, she wanted to accept who she was. But, when he said it just doesn't fit your face, she's like, you know what, you're right. And so now she's got more of my nose.
Well, no, exactly. It's about how do all the features on your face sort of flow together? Do they match? It's not about having everything be perfect at all. Does your smile match your face? Does your nose match your face? All of that. I've seen plenty of beautiful smile makeovers and far from not perfect at all, but everything just works. It's just got to work.
Sure. So we will, in the show notes, we will give information on where to find you and also at the close. But I would love for you to, if you can, just share even just one story, because the before and after pictures of your work are mind blowing.
Oh, thank you.
Mind blowing. I mean, I don't take offense. It looks computer generated. I mean, they are.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful job. And just because you only see the mouth, the 30-year age difference between one mouth and the next is profound. And so, I can totally understand how, if somebody really wants to just improve their overall confidence and, function, obviously,
Absolutely.
Function as well.
Health, function, beauty, and confidence. It's not just one of those. Those are like, the four things. Exactly.
do you have, can you just share even just one story or one before and after a transformation of, I can't imagine what a woman would be like once you're done and she looks in that mirror after you've done what you've done.
We have so many stories. I'm sure you do too with what you do, taking people and working with their confidence too. And the reason why they do this too, the journey of transformation isn't physical, it's emotional, right?
Yes.
You see that all the time, right? But yeah, I mean, I can share many stories. One that just jumps out at me is a woman that she was in her, I would say, early 30s, had a car accident, subsequently developed, fractured all of her teeth, subsequently developed, some pretty serious health issues, including a little bit of brain damage. Seeing her through that whole journey of recovery through her brain trauma, facial trauma, teeth trauma, it took us a while to get to where we needed to be. But we, did implants, restored her teeth. So not only did we restore her to what she had, but just gave her a really beautiful smile, because, what happened was when she had that accident, it was very difficult for her to take care of herself, period. So she, put on a lot of weight. Nutritionally, she couldn't really eat the things because of the teeth. It just really affected her life in such a significant way that even just changing her smile was like one of the first steps she could take to overall improvement. And just seeing her when we finished, even though she has a little bit of a road in front of her for recovery overall, but just seeing how, she didn't even want to smile before. And just seeing her be able to smile now and move a little bit more confidently through her day and the way she speaks, because her speech was affected by this accident. But what I noticed was once we completed her case and got her even better than what she was before, she just kind of proceeded more confidently, despite the speech delay, despite other issues she was going through. And it sort of gave her the hope that, well, if I could do this, I could kind of move through and kind of work through any other issues I have that resulted from that. So that's one of my, I think about that story all the time. Everyone comes in with a story. But yeah, it's a privilege working with, for have people trust you with something so personal and so intimate is really cool.
Yeah. And, I, from the bottom of my heart, if and when I ever need anything, I'm coming to see you, Dr. V.
You don't need anything, but I'd love to see you.
Coming to see you. So as I close this out, I would love to know, obviously, like I said, I'm going to give information about, or you're going to share your information so people can learn more and follow you. But you mentioned the Sonic, and that perked my ears because I use an Oral-B cheap toothbrush. What are just a couple of things that us women can use that, are, that aren't going to going to see, a dentist, and what are some small steps that we can do to help preserve our teeth or improve them?
Yeah. Like I said, I think that consistency at home and what you do for yourself at home is so important. Just the daily care, it's part of your self-care, it really is. It's part of taking care of yourself. So a Sonicare toothbrush is great, whether it's Oral-B or whatever, as long as it's Sonic, I think that's great. An ADA approved toothpaste. We mentioned also like a probiotic. I love that idea. Definitely a tongue scraper, getting that bacteria out of there. That'll help improve your breath. You can use Crest whitening strips at home. Crest whitening strips, that's kind of like what I do sometimes if I just want that extra like boost. Yeah, exactly, right, just to keep them fresh, to eliminate stains. Also just be mindful of what you're eating, what you're drinking. Obviously, this overall health is key. Stay hydrated. It helps with the pH balance of your mouth, definitely. Don't chew on acrylic fingernails, just things that might damage your teeth. Just be mindful of that. Believe me, I've seen it all. I had a woman coming in for a year. We couldn't figure out why her teeth kept breaking until she said, well, these acrylic nails are really tough. And I'm like, Well, you could have said something. So just be mindful of the things that you're kind of, your habits.
Yeah.
Also, I think that overall stress reduction
Yeah.
affects grinding and things like that. So I think that's really important. So anything that you do for your overall health, nutrition is really important for oral health. Anything you're going to do, as you know, for your overall health is going to have a positive impact on your mouth. So just take really good care of yourself overall.
Yeah.
It's
funny. I have one more question for you.
Yes.
You perked one more for me, but I wanted to share that my dentist kept wanting me to use a night guard, and because he was seeing, the fractures and the grinding, I can't do it. The pulling out those retainers in the morning.
Yeah.
So anyway, but what I realized was I wasn't grinding my teeth at night. I wasn't grinding my teeth when I was stressed. I had just really took personal note. When are you grinding your teeth, Melissa? I was grinding my teeth when I was loving on my animals. As crazy as that sounds, I would grab my dogs or my cat and I would just grind the crap out of my teeth. And I realized that. So now I talk to them because it keeps me from grinding them. But, I don't need the night guard because I realized. So
you're doing it during the day.
I was doing it hard. I mean, I love all my animals a lot and hardcore when I was.
Talk about that for a second, because I am probably one of the biggest animal lovers you could ever meet. But yes, be mindful of what, pay attention, be mindful of when you're doing things so you can control them.
Yeah.
Before we go though, what animals do you have? I have to know.
Well, I do rescue and rehab. So, I mean, in the past, I've had lots of dogs and stuff, but we have bobcats right now for orphaned or abandoned bobcats that were hand raised, so they can't be released back into the wild. And then we also rescue and rehab raccoons that we raise, and we can let the raccoons go because, raccoons thrive in, urban cities and stuff. They're not bothered by people. In fact,
right. Yeah.
They want a snack.
I get that. I think I've seen a couple of raccoons in New York.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. They're the only mammal that actually thrives in cities. Any other animal obviously does very poorly, but the population of raccoons grow because they're so smart and they know how to get in garbage.
We can learn a thing or two from those raccoons.
Oh yeah. They're so fun and so sweet. So my last question for you, because it hit me and it's going to be a big question on people's mind. What are your thoughts on fluoride? I hear so many conflicting things on fluoride. I would love your input on that.
So I think that there have been so many studies that have shown that fluoride has so many anti-cavity effects. So I believe that our products like toothpaste, some mouthwashes, I think it's okay to have fluoride in there because it's pretty localized. You're not really ingesting it and swallowing it, I hope. And I know that there are studies that show that the fluoride has, neurotoxicity effects, right? But I think there's a difference between having fluoridated water and then using it in your products, right? So if you're not ingesting it systemically on a regular basis, I don't think there's much to worry about. I think it is definitely okay to use products with fluoride, especially if, it's ADA tested, it's ADA approved. I just think there are way too many benefits, and I've seen way too many cases with people who say grew up in areas where they didn't get fluoride and they've just got rampant decay in their mouth. Now the issue with fluoride in the water, that I can't speak too much about, but I do know that there's a difference between taking it in systemically every day versus using it locally.
Yeah, that my thoughts exactly.
Yeah, well, good. On the
High five.
Yeah.
So I've had the best time talking to you, and it's so funny for all of you guys that are listening to this. I always start off by letting them know, hey, if we talk 20 minutes, that's cool. If we talk an hour, that's cool. And you'll always notice the ones that I really enjoy talking to, they're a little bit longer.
Oh, I really enjoyed this too. I really did. I feel like what we do is so very similar.
It really is. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate every day that I get to do it, as I know you do as well. Can you share with my audience, some great places to find you or to follow you or to reach out to you if they have any questions?
Yeah, definitely. I think the best way to find me would be on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is Dr. Victoria DDS. So it's Dr. Victoria DDS. I also have a website that's veytsmandds.com, but that's a little harder to spell. So it's VEYTSMANDDS.com. But I think Instagram, Dr. Victoria DDS is probably the easiest way, and you can reach out to us there.
Absolutely. And what procedure, do you have a procedure that you do the most of?
Oh my God, yes. Yes, I do full mouth reconstruction. I do smile makeovers with porcelain veneers, porcelain restorations. Essentially,
Okay.
I started as a general dentist, and while I still do a little bit of it, my practice has just really evolved into just the cosmetic portion. So our procedure, every day I'm doing a smile makeover. I only see 1 or 2 patients a day. We don't have like a high volume practice where we're seeing a million people a day. These procedures are so involved and so intense, and the patients require really all of my attention. I just want to be as present and there as possible. So we really can't do more than like 2 a day. So they're just really all consuming. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very personal, I think it's as personal, I'm going to, talk, it's like breast implants. You just can't go into a cosmetic surgeon and get the same breast implant as the other 1,000 women that have been in that month. It takes a doctor that will sit down and say, this is, the best, your activity level, your age, your rib cage size, your body fat. There's no difference.
Yeah, there's no cookie cutter approach to this. So there's no like one size fits all smile. They're bespoke smiles. They're tailor made. Well, let me show you. I'm at my office. So we do we do smile. Can you see that?
I can.
Okay, so this is a smile design out of wax on a model. I just happen to have this in front of me because I'm at the office today. But so before we do anything, we create a blueprint for that patient. So before I even touch the patient, we need a plan, right? So we take our models, we have our ceramists kind of in wax, design it based on our preferences. We can even try it in first, right?
Wow.
To see what it would look like. Then we start. Then there's a whole period of time where you're in what we call a trial smile, which is temporaries, to see how you feel with them.
Oh, wow.
Before we proceed to put the final teeth in. The patient sees everything before it goes in. I don't like surprises. I don't like my patients to be surprised. I feel that they feel better when they're involved in the process. We very rarely use any anti-anxiety medication because we really use the approach of just like taking our time, which I find most of the time just does the trick instead of medicating. So, so it's a very, very tailor-made, process that is very unique to the individual based on their facial features.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. I love that. And I think that's rare these days. So I appreciate that you take that time and care because we need it. We need this. There's so many, I was telling her beforehand, I can't even tell you how many. Dallas is very, very big into aesthetics, just like Beverly Hills in New York. And there's just billboard after billboard. Dentistry is huge here. And it's very cookie cutter, their chains, and I just love the fact that there's still places where people take such care of individual people one at a time.
Thank you. No, thank you. And every place has a different approach. We do a lot of revision work, but I think taking time with people in general, I'm sure you do the same thing, even just talking to them before the procedure, even that little couple of words of reassurance can make all the difference in how the case goes that day.
Yeah. 100%. So I have so enjoyed talking with you. Thank you for almost an hour of your time. This has been fabulous.
Bye.
I am going to make a promise to you. I'm going to get myself an ultrasonic toothbrush. I am. And I'm going to, my doctor said I needed to, and I'm not going to listen, and I'm not going to get my little lip lift at all whatsoever.
No, you do not need that. I just want everyone to know that, everything they see on Instagram now, everyone's chasing perfection. That's just that doesn't equal beauty or happiness, by the way, or happiness, right?
Yeah.
Like you had said before, it's about being healthy and taking care of yourself.
Yep. 100%. And everything else falls into place.
100. Yeah.
Anyway, you guys know where to find her. Please find her on Instagram and learn from her. Take these great tidbits. I loved the questions back and forth. That's the first time I've had people ask me questions, so I appreciate that.
Really? I'm sorry. I'm just so interested.
I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Oh my God, Melissa, I forgot how this works.
It's been one of my favorite interviews, so you hush. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I wanted to thank you guys. And as always, M.A.D.E also stands for make a difference every day, and make sure that you wake up prepared and you go to bed proud. You guys have a great day.
Bye.
Wow, we've reached the end. But before I leave you, I'd love to hear from you. After all, it's not every day that someone reaches out and asks for your opinion. And to me, your opinion does matter. So please share this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this message. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. My name is Melissa McAllister. And until next time, thank you for being your own health advocate.